Today's question is a CPU one, and it comes from, I'm not even going to try that. RQYT. I know the YT stands for YouTube. With Intel's foundries back on track, do you think Intel will be making a rebound in the next 2 years? Buy Windows 10 Professional for $15, activate instantly online with Microsoft, and keep it forever. Don't pay full price. Get the best deal from our sponsor, Vip-urcdkey, using our link in the video description below. Full details on how this amazing deal works at the end of the video. Next 2 years? 13900K? 12100F? How about now? Oh, but they're terrible compared to Ryzen. What? What do you mean 2 years? This is kind of what is it with the AMD fanboyism that thinks that Intel is just dead and has been dead for years? These things are amazing. Now, dead platform. They could remove the remaining complaints if they would say, we'll support LGA 1700 for the next 4 years. Buy a 12700K or a 13700K today, and 14th and 15th gens will work on your motherboard. If they did that, when I talk to my Intel reps, Intel's been sending me CPUs since the 8th generation. We've been doing YouTube since the 6th generation, but the 8th gen is when Intel started sending me CPUs. Now, AMD sends them to me as well, so yeah, I love both of them. But when the 8th and 9th gen were on the 300 series boards, and then they came out with the 10th gen, which was on the 400 series boards, it was incompatible. I said to my Intel rep at the time, I said, look, I'm nobody from nobody. I'm a small-time YouTuber, relatively speaking, not Linus. So I know that my opinion probably carries exactly zero weight. And I recognize that you're an industry tech rep. Your job is to talk to, you talk to me, you talk to print media. Well, I guess there's a lot of print media anymore. You talk to websites and other things. You talk to a lot of different content creators, large and small. But you, at the end of the day, report back to your bosses. You don't run Intel. So I understand that what I'm about to tell you is not something you personally can change. But understand that I said this about 4 years ago, right in the middle of Ryzen Mania. Zen 2 was launching. Zen 3 was around the corner. And now Intel needed another motherboard. So we could go from the i9 9900K with 8 cores to the i9 10900K with 10 cores. At the time that AMD was launching Ryzen 9 3900X with 12 cores and 3950X with 16 cores. Now Intel fired back and cut the price of their HEDT chip down from $2,000 on the 9th gen to $1,000 on the 10th gen. And they sent me one, and I used it for my primary desktop PC for a while. 50% price cut. There's a video on our main YouTube channel talking about that. I don't have that anymore. That's been retired because it was good at its time, but it's been outclassed because CPU developments have now actually started moving ahead. So what I said is, look, going from 8 cores to 10 cores should not require a new motherboard. Yeah, I know, LGA 1200 versus 11 5X, whatever. You keep changing that, 51, 55, 56. Good God, that's ridiculous, but whatever. You would win super epic mega internet points. You would win the praise of the press. You would win the praise of enthusiasts. And you may think, well, they're small market. We sell to Dell. We sell to HP. We sell to these large companies. The box processor market's fairly small. It is fairly small. Only about 10% of PCs are custom built. The vast majority of desktop PCs are pre-built. People who buy pre-builts listen to people like you and me. They listen to enthusiasts. They listen to tech reviews. The overall sentiment of the industry matters. It's why the 4090 exists, and AMD made a mistake in not creating a competitor to the 4090. Halo products work. Industry perception matters. Doesn't matter that most people aren't going to buy them. The 3090 was $1,500. The 3060 is, it's almost $300. It should have been $250, but it wasn't. Regardless, the 3060 is the best-selling 30 series card. In fact, the RTX 3060, fun fact, Now, I love AMD video cards now. I haven't always. They've been hit and miss on drivers. Then again, NVIDIA's had the driver issues. The 5000 series sucked, but the 6000 series is spot on. NVIDIA has sold more RTX 3060s, just the 3060, than AMD has sold video cards in the past 3 years, 2.5 years. Let that sink in for a minute. Since the 3060 launched, the 3060 has outsold AMD's entire product suite of video cards combined. AMD does not have a counter to the 3090 or the 4090. It's a mistake on AMD's part. Free advice, AMD. Do whatever it takes to compete with that. Even if you only sell 5 of them, it doesn't matter. Now, Intel. If Intel would, I know I'm going off track here, but hey, it's my video. I can do that. Hopefully you guys are all still here. So if Intel would just support more than 2 generations on a motherboard, I think enthusiasts would go, finally, what took you so long? They added hyper-threading to the i5s in the 10th gen. The 9th gen didn't have them. 6-core 6 threads versus 6-core 12 threads. That was overdue. So I said this to my rep. And you know what my Intel rep said? He goes, yeah, you're not the first person to say that to me. I'm like, does like everybody say this to you? He's like, yep. I'm like, well, then why don't they do it? And he goes, that decision's made about 10 levels above me. I don't even get to talk to the person who talks to the person who makes the decision. And I said, this has got to be the dumbest. This is what sergeants in the Army must feel like when the generals in Washington, D.C. are dumb and they're actually in the field and they know what's going on, but they can't like call the Pentagon and say, can you guys stop being dumb? Because we know what we're doing out here. You should take our feedback. So my rep was sympathetic, and he goes, yeah, I know. He goes, I know. And ever since, because this was in the middle of Ryzen, so of course he's hearing it from every tech reviewer. Well, if AMD can support 4 generations, what's wrong with you, Intel? And it's so artificial, too. You know, another bit of free advice that I gave Intel is I said, look, you want to be a hero? Make an 8-core CPU work on 100 and 200 series motherboards. It doesn't matter if the clock speeds aren't as high. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Just make it work. You can. I know you can. You choose not to. Make a version of the i9 9900K that works on a Z170 and a Z270. People who bought your i7 6700K and i7 7700K, give them a frickin' upgrade. And you know what? You'll sell 1 million of them. But it doesn't matter how much you sell, because I know at the end of the day, the dollar amount involved to you is small. The positive press is massive. Because I'm an expert. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with that take. If you think I'm crazy and nuts and nobody would care and I'm off my rocker, let me know in the comments. But if you agree with me and think being able to upgrade for 4 years on a single Intel platform would change people's perception of Intel, you let me know down below. Now, as far as Intel making a rebound, the 13900K is amazing. The 12900K was a good start, but the 13900K is a serious step up. The 13600K is amazing. 14 cores, 20 threads, $300. It doesn't use that much power. I see a lot of comments from people who say, oh yeah, Intel uses stupid power. Well, sure. With all due respect, I love you gamers next. Well, I say gamers next. I should say Steve. I love you, Steve. But when you test CPUs by putting Prime 95 loads on them and Furmark loads on graphics cards, and you publish charts showing RTX 4090s using 660 watts of power, I think that gives people the wrong impression. Can you pull 300 plus watts of power out of an i9 13900K? Sure. Will you ever see that in normal people use? No. You really don't. I show footage of our benchmarks. The Intel chips use a little bit more power than Ryzen. Not that much more. It is not that big a deal. It's not nearly as much as the reviews will make it overblown. This thing's amazing. It does use more than a Ryzen 9 7950X. less than a light bulb. It is not that big a deal. And of course, if you pay a ton of money for power, well, maybe you don't want any of them because they're all going to be expensive to run over time. So to continue on with the question, to make the point, I don't think they're going to rebound in 2 years. I think they have. I think these products are really, really nice. We recently bought this i3 12100F off of Newegg for $58. Now, we get sent some product samples, but not everything. They sent me Intel, the i9 and the i5, but they did not send me the i7. I went ahead and bought the i7. I benchmarked the i7. I like it, but I'm kind of inclined to sort of believe you either go i5 or i9. You either go middle or top. The medium high, order a steak medium or just kill it and order it well done. Medium well just sort of seems like you can't make up your mind, but I digress. So 14 cores for $300 or 24 cores for $550. This is 16 cores. It's like two more. I mean, yeah, they're P cores, but it's two more than the i5 for $100 more. So if you spend that $100, just buy the i9. And you get a really cool box. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So I think Intel's doing just fine. Meteor Lake is probably going to be a hybrid launch. Arrow Lake is coming. We're not going to get another core count increase for a little while. Maybe 15th, maybe 16th gen we'll see a core count increase. AMD's not doing one either. So he says, I get their i5s are competitive, but their margins on those aren't exactly sustainable. Why not? Intel doesn't make any money on these things. This is not where Intel makes their billions of dollars. Intel's margins are in server chips, and AMD is eating their lunch in server chips because Intel coasted on their stuff for entirely too long. Fun fact, selling CPUs in boxes to retail customers are not how you make tens of billions of dollars. It's fun, but this is a side project. The real money is what you sell to Dell and to Lenovo, and most importantly, I say Gigabyte, but I mean Gigabyte servers and Supermicro servers. And is Supermicro still? I'm showing my age now when I say that. Are they still in business? The big server companies. So this is a good point. So my real question would be, can Intel take the lead again in 2 to 3 years? Intel has already taken the lead in the desktop market in terms of raw performance. The i9 13900K is, in general, faster than anything AMD makes at the moment. Ryzen 9 7950X, even the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D, 13900K is a better chip. I own both. I use both. My home gaming PC is a Ryzen 9 7950X. My work video editing PC is now in the middle of transition to i9 13900K. We just built it this week. It'll be up and running within the next week. It's downstairs at the moment, actually copying files from our current editing PC over to it. It's faster by a tiny percentage, and it's the same price, about $550 for the 13900K, about $550 for the 7950X. Intel's real problem is the server market, because in the server market, two things are happening. Energy efficiency matters. Unlike in desktop PCs, where it uses a little more power than AMD, but who cares? 30 watts, 50 watts, those are not amounts that matter to the average person in a home that you're heating and cooling and your computer's under your desk. It's really not a big deal. Where it's a big deal is when you buy 8,000 processors to put into a massive supercomputer, or tens of thousands of processors into arrays of servers, into Azure clouds, and Microsoft and Google and Facebook Meta. What's it called, Meta? That's ridiculous. Facebook data centers. I'm just going to call it Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't like it. Well, that's his problem. Yeah, I know he doesn't care. He'll wipe away his tears with $1,000 bills. Intel is not going to take the lead again in servers in 2 to 3 years. Their problem is process. Their problem is energy consumption. AMD through TSMC has a lead there. Can Intel get back there? Yes. Will Intel get there in 2 to 3 years? No. Intel's biggest single struggle right now is the fact that they are behind, and it is not a race they can catch back up too quickly. Intel's great saving grace is they have a large pot of money. They have long and historic relationships with companies that are not easily broken. It only takes one really good product release, And the Dells and the Acers and the Lenovos and the Supermicros and the other server companies will come back into Intel's arms, in my opinion, very, very quickly. So long as Intel does it within the next 4 or 5 years. But I do think that Intel has permanently lost a third of the server market. They used to own like all of it. There was a brief period of time about 15 years ago during the Opteron era where AMD started to make an edge into servers and then got obliterated. Intel really dropped the ball, and AMD is now permanently fixed within the server business. If any of you are interested in this some more, I strongly recommend you check out a channel called Level 1 Techs on YouTube. Wendell, I've done some videos and some live streams with Wendell. Wonderful guy, knows way more about servers than I know. He's great. The other person I would follow is Dr. Ian Cutress on the YouTube channel Tech Potato. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of funny. He is a chip guy. He knows CPUs front to back, left to right. If I ever had a technical question about CPUs, I would definitely be asking him. If I have a server question, if I have a data center question, I'd be asking Wendell over at Level 1 Tech. So do check both of them out. And if you do and you like their videos, drop a comment on their channel and say hi from Tech Deals. So the comment section on this one will be interesting. Looking for a Windows 10 or 11 product key, but you don't want to spend $100 to $200 for it? Our sponsor, URCD provides discounted Windows keys at amazing prices. $15 for Windows 10 Professional, $21 for Windows 11 Professional, and just $60 for Microsoft Office 2021 Professional Plus. These product keys are the real deal. They activate directly with Microsoft Online, link to your Microsoft account, and they work forever. For Windows, you simply go to Settings, Update and Security, Activation, click Change Product Key, paste the key provided by URCD Keys, and in seconds, you're activated with Microsoft. For Office, go to setup.office.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, paste the product key provided by URCD Keys, and then download Office 2021 Pro Plus directly from Microsoft. Remember to use the discount code TD20 to save 25% off the already deeply discounted prices and support our channel at the same time. We have been using product keys from URCD Keys for almost 5 years now without any issues and encourage you to do so as well.